Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Marketing, show number 475. Ooh, spooky September, Friday the 13th. Anyways, yes, it's Friday the 13th. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching us live on our TV channel, the Hospitality Channel, thank you so much for joining us on Samsung, LinkedIn, on Samsung TV, LG TV, Roku TV, Google TV, Apple TV, Amazon TV, Fire Sticks, as well as on our app, the Hospitality Channel app, iOS and Google Play. And if you're watching us on simulcast, Facebook pages and YouTube channels and LinkedIn, we're all there, as well as Twitch if you want to catch us on your gaming console. And might I say, because I'm a VR geek, you are able to watch us now on Spatial TV on your VR headset. Not knowing whether you really want me in virtual reality standing and talking to you, but you know what? You can do that. So all good in that sense. Thank you so much for joining us. Today has been fun dialogue for this week's discussion of a problem that I discovered, the cause of the problem, and then the eventual realization of what the problem means. Why be so vague? I'm not being vague. Topic today: it will still take a human. How Skynet, or in this Google, is forcing the choice. So let me paint the scenario for how this was a bit discovered, and then from research of why we feel like we believed what it was. I was very adamant that I felt that I knew what the solution was. Discovering where the source of the problem really truly laid with it. Laid, proper English, lied. Yes. So we do a lot of meta search campaigns, a lot of meta search opportunities, so forth and so on. And we were noticing, as we keep track of all things, there's lots of little levers to pull and run when running a meta search program. If you're running programs with some static service providers, nameless as they be, I have negativity on almost all of them. But the set and forget mentality of meta search programming is dumb, ineffective, and costs you money. And the people that are doing it for you are exploiting that opportunity. So please find good, skilled meta search control to what you're doing. Now, that being said, there are a lot of functionalities within metasearch that you maintain and operate. We were chasing down a rabbit hole of a falling off the cliff of one of our resources, all on Google Hotel Ads to be specific, that we just saw fall off, disappear, conversions down, but audiences were really huge, really grown. They've grown 50% year over year for the same time frame that we were looking at it for just recently over this past few months. And we saw that we went over and continued following that by expanding our audience of our exposure to the audience. In meta search, as with all marketing, you have what's called an impressionable audience, the total audience that you're able to get to for the strategy of the ad campaigns that you're running. Those campaigns are based on what you're targeting and also those that are searching for what you are willing to offer. That total impression audience is what you create a voice percentage for, meaning how much of our ads showed up to all of the potential that's there. What's the percentage that showed up? And we usually run somewhere around the 50 percentile. It's not uncommon and in some ways useful to be up in the mid 60s percentile and so forth. There is a diminished value of return that comes with this. So that's the strategy component of how you do this. You want more audience, but not at the expense of paying too much money for it. It's good mathematics if you don't know about diminished value return or trend analysis stuff. It's good old math to learn. Yes, you did need to use algebra where you learned in high school. But we noticed we followed the path of continuing our percentage of voice in a very large expanding audience growth. At the same time, our CPC costs went down. And we're like, well, that's odd in the, that's a positive in the sense, less cost for acquisition, so forth, but it didn't work out that way. Our revenue per click went dramatically down. Our click percentage, obviously the culprit of this, dramatically fell off a cliff. But meanwhile, we were still being exposed to 50% more audience than we had the same time last year. As a matter of fact, our total audience exposure numerically was larger than all of last year's audience in its entirety. So here we're seeing this much larger audience, but in comparison to the performance of the property did well. It was a peak demand time for them. So they were doing well, and their growth was in single digits and in a couple places in double digits. So good progressive growth for them. But our slice of the puzzle, the meta search, really fell off a cliff. We spent a tremendous amount of money that the productivity just plummeted down. So what's the canary in the coal mine? Why did this happen? So we began to burrowing into it. And it was specific to only Google platform, Google Hotel Ads platform. And it was very specific to the device aspect of mobile. There's a lot of nuances to things. You have device variations, you have date of arrival variations, duration of stay variations. There's lots of bid modifier capabilities within programs that you operate. And this is the benefit of having somebody run them for you, because it allows you the opportunity to fine tune the dimensions of better value of return. Regardless of our bags of control, we still had this issue. So we're looking at it and we started trying to figure out why this was happening. And out of the process of discovery, we found out that PMAX had been starting to be used. And for those unfamiliar with PMAX, PMAX is an omni tool from Google that says, give us your huddled masses, give us your money, and we'll make things happen. It's an all-in-one. Don't ask how the sausage is made; just give us the money to make the sausage. They allow you to point them into a direction. Give me more revenue. That's literally a topic of direction. Give me more traffic, topic of direction. Give me more conversions, topic of purpose. And it will go and do every tool that Google has available, it will utilize to create campaigns to optimize what you ask it to go do. More revenue, more traffic, more conversions, whatever. And it will do it in whatever means possible. Now, there is a lot of problems with this, and it's been in the news and so forth. First off, PMAX and their hospitality version of it, TMAX, Travel Max, it's a nickname we've given it, but it's not officially the name that Google has given it, it breaks its own rules. It breaks its own bot rules, to be honest with you. We found that out. Also, in certain conditions, it isn't very good at the accuracy of it. You really have to keep a short leash on it, a high definition of negative terms, high definition of budget for it to go do things with and so forth. But meta search is a tool that falls under the umbrella of hotel hospitality, marketing capability in the spectrum of your marketing your hotel. This is included in everything that it does. You can't turn it off. You can turn it on. You can't turn it off. You can't take it out. You can't pick and piecemeal what channels you want PMAX to run. It does whatever you've asked it to do as a goal: revenue, traffic, conversions. Okay. It will do whatever it can. If it doesn't have a video for you, it will make one for you. It will find images of you or images that it will take to create a video for you. It'll make images for you for image ads. It'll do click to call ads. It'll do text ads. It's miraculous in this ability to do these things. It'll do YouTube ads. It'll do all this stuff right away. It's voracious. That's hence the nickname why I called it Skynet. It is omnipotently invasive to everything it can do. But the problems come out of it. If it's brand related, if you're trying to push your own brand and you're part of a brand system, you may find out that you're paying for conversions that another brand hotel within the infrastructure of your brand actually got the benefit of the conversion on. It sent them to another hotel. Even though the ad was for you, people bought it over there. That's one issue that comes from it. If you're also running PMAX while you're running other Google ad campaigns, it is cannibalistic. It creates confusion. It might cost you to spend a lot of money that you don't get credit for in your alternate campaign, and PMAX will take credit for it because Google, with all of this insightful knowledge that we don't get full access to, and nor do we have full access to how do they calculate these things, the black box scenario of Google click IDs and so forth. It knows exactly when to step in front of you at that last minute where the person is literally going to hand you the money for a conversion, and they go and snap in front and put themselves between you and them with the 1 cent up bid and say, that's my ad, that's my credit, I'll take your credit for that, and boof, off you go. So even though you brought them to the level of conversion, they'll take credit for the conversion. We've seen that in paid ads. But meta search was a little something of, it's Google Hotel Ads, and it's meta search. Well, we began looking at this process of why the expanded audience, why the diminishment of CPC, and why our absolutely off the cliff drop on conversions for Google mobile, Google hotel ads, which was the large volume traffic driver for most of it. You'll find mobile ads in Meta are a very large traffic driver, but they have a lower conversion value. But because it's such a high volume of traffic, even at that lower conversion compared to your desktop or other channels, it contributes a massive amount to the value of the meta search program for it. You just moderate the bid values of when you amplify it or de-amplify it, or diminishment. De-amplify is diminishment in the process of running it. So we're looking at this and we're saying, well, audience growth. Well, that makes sense because what will happen is, and think of this logic, when we do ad campaigns, and you've heard me complain about this, but this is methodology. You have branded campaigns, you have non-branded campaigns. For those that may not know what they are, branded campaigns is basically your name and the variations of it. Non-branded is a spectrum of things that you would be showing up for that aren't necessarily because of the name of your hotel. Like if you are a downtown hotel, hotels downtown, if you're rated as the best, or you're indicated as the best, or you're reviewed as the best hotel in, hotels nearby, hotels with, all these variables are non-branded terms for marketing. And we've always historically based what we select in our non-brand categories as how deep down the well do you want to go? Because you have what's called funnel tracking. You have top of the funnel, below the funnel, and long tail um, advertisement is when somebody has a very unique combination of search query that doesn't have a lot of audience. Like not a lot of people use this term to find something. That's called long tail. And a lot of times it's not worth adding into your campaign because it's just such a small audience that even if 1 out of 2 people convert, there's only 2 people looking at any given time for it. It's so small. It's on the bottom of your list, well down, many pages deep into terms to use for your ad campaigns. Google doesn't have that limitation. So when we do non-branded campaigns, we take what we get to a point of diminishment where it's just not worth it for us to do anything below this line. Google has no limitation to that. They are fully aware of all those search queries. It's their data. It's their platform. They own all the marbles to this conversation. And they know when it's worth it or not worth it to pursue those very long tail situations. So what that had ended up doing was it expanded the audience horizon, is the best way I can describe it. It expanded how many people we could get an ad in front of for our hotel, non-branded primarily. Google did that by creating the PMax campaign. It developed all these ads out there that might be a cent, if a cent, or a half a cent to go over and have the conversion happen. But well, not worth it for us to have in our campaigns, but well worth it because they have they have the tools, they have the automation to do all that in their PMax program. So that explains the audience growth. Why the diminishment in CPC? Well, when you add that much inventory, audience inventory, into your impression count, how many people now you can speak to, and they're only at a cent or a half cent or hardly anything at all, so to speak, then that by scale of average diminishes your CPC for the exposure. The more you follow Google into the percentage of exposure of your ads into that new expanded audience, the more the negative impact on your CPC, but also the increased expense of getting in front of that many more people. That should normally be well and good if you get the inherent conversion value of the exposure to the greater audience. That didn't happen. And so we're trying to understand why the conversion plummeted so badly. And it goes back to a few things that have left me with a couple of questions. I'm literally pursuing Google on our person that we deal with. We have the pleasure of dealing with people when it comes to Google. It's a privilege to say that in lots of ways. But we're thinking, because we're paying for the clicks, but we're not getting the conversion value. We're thinking because Google is so new and so pressing into this, that there are still some crossovers of things that are happening that they haven't found a solution for, and maybe they don't want to find a solution for because they get to kind of double dip. And let me explain. So if they are using the same Google My Business reference to the business as we are for our Google Hotel ads, keynote being Google Hotel ads, as in it's already in their system, and we're already giving it fed the room rate data that we have from the connection to the property management system's ability, internet booking engine, to connect the inventory so it can show rates and availability in meta search. That is all available data to Google. Google's already shown that they prioritize themselves over other things. That they want PMax to work. And so they're going to prioritize PMax's success. So I believe personally, number one, that they're using that connection to the single source Google My Business as a non-divider between another ad campaign running for that same property, because that same property uses the same Google My Business reference of who this ad is for. You have to tie ad campaigns to actual things, locations. GMB is the point of truth conduit for that. So we're using the same GMB, which means all of our Google accounts are inherently connected to the same GMB. So that means most likely Google is using what we're doing in addition to what they're doing with it. Second supposition to this is in the Google's use of the GMB and the information, when you look at Google Hotel ads, they have a categorization of audiences that your ads are showing up for that is algorithmically designed by Google. It's Google's audience development. Okay, from what they know of you and how people interact with the ads, they develop an audience relationship of the data that they have from their Google Click IDs as to what's going on in their black box world, and that's the same algorithm that Google PMax is using. It's the same math. The math that's telling us where our ads are going to go is the same math that's telling PMax where to put their ads. So with that in mind, if we're doing good and with our campaigns by adding budgets to it, as soon as Google with its own algorithm tells us that we're getting in front of the right people to convert them to purchase with us, they push PMax as the connection point or identify their click ID as the primary value of the conversion. Because from people on click IDs, Google assigns every action you do an ID. And so you can have several click IDs going to a single transaction. Google's black box, the part that we don't know how it does it, determines who gets the credit based on what they know about each of the click IDs creations to who gets the benefit of the reward of whose attribution value was the most contributing to the conversion. Whether it's the Google ads, whether it's organic, wherever it came from, it creates that ID value. Well, since it wants its own PMax to work better, then it seems to get credit for it. So what will happen, and what has happened from what we can I've best figured out, is our conversion dump, even though our audience penetration was high and the audience was massively expanded by 50%, we weren't getting the credit for the conversion. We certainly were paying for the clicks, but even the clicks number was going down, but we paid for that by volume. And so we paid more, got less clicks, and certainly got less conversions. And I think it's because PMax got shoved in front of us because we're operating in the same ecosphere, theirs. More to follow with that, but interesting enough, and I'm sitting there going, well, am I right? Am I not right? And so forth. Dean Schmidt and me bringing up and talking about this came across a part to a recently created program or feature ad to Google Ads. In Google Ads, you can go in, and if you're running for a hotel, you can go over and identify your hotel in Google Ads. And if you have the means to connect dynamic ad creations for display and so forth and so on that are rate availability by date, your date and rate availability, if you can indicate that, or they have a means of scraping that data, which they do, over, then that means that it will automatically create a Google Hotel Ads account for you available in your own Google Ads program. No intermediary party necessary. It will go do this. And now you can offer rates and dates and dynamic ads. What this means is that in Google's ecosphere, you can bid your own self with Google Hotel Ads, which is not new. Google Hotel Ads are available in Google Ads, but usually it required a third-party connectivity to your booking engine to derive the inventory necessary at the qualifications necessary to do it, to be able to operate in Google's meta search platform, Google Hotel Ads. Now, Google is telling you, identify yourself. We'll go look. If you already don't have access, we'll be able to probably find the data we need to be able to give access so you can create these dynamic ads for it. If that's being the case, all of that now gets fed to PMax as well. So PMax now has what you have. There's only one last test that we need to do, and we're going to try this in a beta. Is through all the custom audiences that we create out of the connection of our GA4 to our Google Ad account and our Google Hotel Ad account, we create custom audiences as one of the full feature capabilities of doing this. Those custom audiences, I now want to see whether or not by making those for our own Google Hotel Ad accounts for our meta search program, if they get cannibalized, taken away, hijacked, whatever, by PMax, where they just use the same data. So am I actually making the machine smarter by doing that? And that's a big worry, because if that's the case, we truly can't keep um, PMAX, Skynet, out of our activity, which means as agencies offering services by channel of value, here comes PMAX. Now, I told you before, PMAX right now is, in my consideration, a lazy man's marketing. And it affords, which is with Google's willful intent, wanting companies to go, wow, why do we have to hire experts? Why do we have to pay for third parties? We'll just go over and have somebody internally that knows enough how to create an account on Google, tell PMAX to turn on, let Skynet take over the world, and we're good. They'll run everything we need to do, build whatever we need to do, and it just tells us how much money we make. That's the lazy part of it. And I think that that's what Google's trying to drive for, is to remove the middleman between where the people write money from and them getting the money. Anywhere between vendors and so forth operating things is middlemen that they have to accommodate. And I think that they're really trying to shorten that link in the chain to being the person that pays the money versus them getting the money directly. The more they can simplify and automate the systems, the more they can inclusively say that everything's being done. And PMAX does do this. You go to PMAX, and it is like turning on Skynet in the movie. It all of a sudden takes over everything. It takes over your YouTube ads. It creates YouTube ads. You don't have to worry about content development. It takes over and creates all your ad variations. It identifies the keywords you need to be chasing after, the competitors that you're going against, the bid structure you need to create, the ad types for everything in Google's ecosystem. But it has its breaking and its flaws. It sometimes sends the business the wrong way. Sometimes it doesn't identify the right business. Sometimes it'll go over and sell the wrong thing, or pull up images that aren't right, videos that aren't correct, statements that aren't true. It has a lot of flaws to it. So you need human intervention to make that happen. I think what we're going to see is this living coexistently. Let's go to another movie analogy, The Matrix, where robots and humans can live somewhere in neutrality. I kind of equated this when I was describing to one of my other coworker friends, that it's a little bit like the NASCAR cars or the Indy cars, where all the cars are told to be the same. And other than the expertise of the people that tune them and figure out ways to stretch what they're capable of doing, the real variance is the driver's capability, especially in Formula One racing. The car will tell you whether you win or lose. The driver has an influence to it to a certain degree. Well, in NASCAR, the driver is more of an influence on the performance of the car. I still believe that there will be an intervention requirement where people understand how to optimize campaigns. Firsthand experience is that even with PMAX running at whatever level you have it go fetch, it doesn't do things right. There is a lot of waste to it as well, because you give it one metric to perform after. It doesn't mean the other metrics are handled well. It might bleed a lot of money on something just because it has the target in mind that you want, but it isn't the most effective way of running that aspect of the campaign. We've seen where we can go into PMAX operations and change some of the very dynamics of what it allows you to change to optimize more of what it's doing than what it was doing before you did. So there are things that you can improve upon even with those kind of possibilities. But the idea of just set and forget and let it run is notoriously dangerous. It creates inaccurate content. Just the same conversations we have with AI. It'll give you an answer. It may not be an accurate, truthful, correct answer, but it will give you an answer. Same too with PMAX. It will go do what you ask it to do, but it does it under the qualifier of how it measures it. And it might have generated business for another business other than yours that you are connected to via brand or soft brand or affiliation or whatever, simply because the metric said that this convertible value was better than this one that you gave it or asked for it, and it sent business another way. And it reports that you were successful, but when you translate that to the bank, when you write a check, you're wondering why the numbers don't match. That's the reality of PMAX right now. So I think agencies and vendors and ownerships have to realize there's a value to it. And we've talked about it on the show, about being able to really get the lay of the land for marketing. And if you highly restrict its negative word content and highly restrict its budget activities, and you pause and turn it on for certain industrial things, and I think that conversation will expand even more, then I think you'll find that there is value to using that kind of tool. But it's a tool in a toolkit that isn't the sole replacement to the entire toolkit. It isn't a one tool fits all. It's a tool to be used with others. So that's my little insightfulness of our conversations that we have been very actively going on this week and diagnosing our issues and so forth. So again, I the topic of today is it will still need a human, how Skynet or Google is forcing the choice. So if you have any questions to this, any feedbacks, any insights of your own, and anything from that, I always answer each and every email at lauren@hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com. Or you can reach me audibly by going to hdm.news/talkback. There's an audio function. You just click and answer me a question or ask a question. Tell me whether I can quote you or use it. So you can get that way. You can go to, our I Love Lucy rerun show, which is at the website hospitalitychannel.tv. All of our old shows, we're in our 11th year now. We've been doing it every week, no matter where we are in the world, literally. You can see all of our old shows are based on topic and or broadcast date and or co-hosts. We also have all of our podcasts that are there, our audio podcast. This is broadcast in 209 countries on our hospitality channel. Our podcast, our hospitality radio station, hospitalityradio.com, houses not only our podcast, but other podcasts that are industry specific. So you catch a lot of great stuff every day at certain times. MetaSearch at 1, sales at 4, so forth and so on, 24/7. That's at hospitalityradio.com. Our podcast is on 39 platforms in 36 countries. Look for the Hospitality Marketing Podcast. I think that's about all the places we can say that for. And of course, always, talktravel.tv is our website for our TV channel. TV channels, like I said, on all the TV platforms. And our app, a Hospitality Channel, is on iOS or Google Play stores for us to look. And the Hospitality Live Show is always on the free side of that as well. So I think we've kind of hit all the places we're at. I thank everyone for watching us live. And also, we do a recast of this show at 11:30 a.m. Sydney, Australian time for our APAC friends, 11:30 a.m. Wednesday morning, London time for our EU and Mideast friends. So a little bit more compatible time zones for people to play back. So again, my name is Lauren Gregg. Thank you for the privilege of your time. And I look forward to talking to you all